Well, if they're going to sing it, we may as well let them finish. A wonderful reception for Joe Cullen, the Masters champion. Now, 5th game of the night as we see a clash between one of the seeded players and one of the international qualifiers, the Swedish strongman Dennis Nilsson, in a contest between two players who certainly know where the cameras are. Joe Cullen always knows where the camera is and managed to get a raise the eyebrow or a wink or a little cheeky smile towards it. Dennis Nilsson, by contrast, will stare straight down it, lick his lips and make you feel like you're watching The Ring and somebody's going to crawl out the screen and it'll be the end of you. It is an unnerving experience watching Dennis Nilsson flex his muscles and stare into your very soul down the camera lens. But can be an unnerving experience taking him on at darts. Kevin Dukes certainly found that yesterday.
Dennis to throw first. Game on.
It was a 6-2 victory for the Swede against Hawkeye. Can he repeat the feat against the number 8 seed and a reigning major champion? Chris Murphy's come and sat alongside me to find out.
Yeah, and I find it unlikely for Nilsson to do just that against Joe Cullen, a man who these days wins things. And this year he's already won the Masters, missed the dart to win the Premier League and won the Hungarian darts trophy despite rarely being out of his C or B game. And one of the criticisms that was levelled at Joe Cullen in previous years was that his B game wasn't good enough.
Now it's good enough to win titles, not just win games.
The winner of this will face the winner of the final match this evening, Danny Noppert against Madars Razmas. Sandwiched in between those, though, Adrian Lewis, the 2-time world champion, against Boris Kritschmar, the man who was quick to remind everyone that he himself is an 8-time world champion in the soft game. But the big standout tie of the night follows this one. Michael van Gerwen against the last Belgian standing, Kim Huybrechts, in what I'm sure will be a very, very entertaining, animated, electric encounter. Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, well, this is a little section of the draw. It's the top quarter of the draw where we haven't had any of the games played yet. So these last 4 matches are all in the same section of the draw. As Joe Cullen produces the first maximum of this one, he's first to a finish on the Nilsson throw. The second quarter of the draw, all the seeded players progress. So Aspinall versus Chisnell and Searle versus De Souza. Single 18 for tops. Very nicely done. That is 2 perfect visits back to back from Joe Cullen to break the throw and take an early lead. In the other half of the draw, quarter 3, with Rob Cross, the number 2 seed. He's the top seeded player in that half of the draw. All of the seeded players progress there as well. Cross versus Clement, Van Dijvenbode versus Clayton. Big, big names. And then look at that bottom quarter. We've seen so few seeded players make it through so far today, and yet they've all come through in that quarter. Martin Schindler is a seeded player, bumped up into the seedings. He beat Karel Sedlacek. He's up against the unseeded Rusty Jake Rodriguez, and then Zonneveld versus Gilding. One of those 4 is going to make it through to the semi-finals.
It really is set up quite nicely, very interestingly, for the final day of action in what has been a brilliant Belgian Darts Open. Everything about the tournament is oozing bigger than the European Tour. And that takes a lot of doing, doesn't it, Dan?
Certainly does. And look, the thing is, it's been dramatic. There's been some really good stuff. There's been a lot of average darts. Loads of missed doubles yesterday, a record number. And yet, it's been entertaining. And there have been stories.
Anything but average from Cullen so far. We're maybe seeing that Rolls Royce Joe.
You require 52.
In fact, I reckon we're going to see something special here. That's what we've missed, isn't it? An absolute blitz of a performance.
36.
Yeah, but we've got some serious players who can produce it.
Yeah, Cullen being one of them. Go on, Joe, stick in a PB. Dennis Nilsson trying to throw in a roadblock.
Wasn't a bad dart, but it wasn't good enough. And Joe Cullen's going to get more opportunities. How many more does he need? Only one.
And it's only 2-0 already, as quick as a flash. This could be one of the speedier demolition jobs if Cullen carries on like this. Do you know when he got his PB? Do you want to play a little bit of darting trivia, Dan?
Was it on the European Tour?
It was.
Was it at the European Darts Grand Prix?
It wasn't.
No.
86.
The European Darts Grand Prix was 2015, the one you're thinking about, against Raymond van Barneveld.
Yes.
There's a couple of years later than that at the International Darts Open. Now, I don't think you will get the player if I give you 3 guesses.
Did he smash somebody 6-0 in the last 32?
100.
It was in the last 32. And he smashed somebody 6-1.
Right. So it's Saturday Joe Cullen performance, where he's probably averaged about 114 or something.
Just say 3 names and I'll tell you you're wrong.
426.
Okay. Bodicea, Chris Murphy and Dave Benson Phillips.
Close, Richie Corner.
Oh, right, there we go. And what was the average, by the way?
It was massive.
97.
113.77.
Well, he's got to go some to be troubling that. But he is averaging a ton, and he's looking at 82 for a 3-0 lead with 2 breaks of throw. Oh, beautiful. But not quite good enough.
Requires 64.
Another single. Well, that's okay. But that's not.
None of them were quite where he wanted them to be, were they?
And just to bring it back round to Belgium, Cullen got to the semis of that tournament, lost to Kim Huybrechts. Kim Huybrechts coming next. Joe Cullen making next come around quicker, but with a little bit of help from Dennis's missed doubles.
So that would have been in Risa, the year that Kim Huybrechts reached the final, and I believe missed 7 match darts and lost to Mensur Suljevic. Is that right?
Lost to Peter Wright that year, 6-5. So no, it wasn't right. But
well,
Dennis Nilsson got to the quarterfinals of that tournament.
Well, there you go. It's almost like the darting gods have thrown this together to make our rambling halfway relevant.
Planned it carefully.
Did you? Yeah, I bet you did. Joe Cullen planned that. Executed it to perfection. 3 180s in the first 4 legs from Joe Cullen.
He beat Dave Chisnell, Steve Beaton and Darryl Gurney en route. Then lost to Ron Muhlenkamp.
Ronald de Bommel, a player who has suffered quite an alarming slide over the last couple of years, when the Eurotour was often where we saw him doing some serious business. Reached the final session of action a number of times.
Yeah, Cullen doing some serious business here. Down to a simple 2-darter after just 9. 3 maxes in the match.
Well, I tell you what, if he was finishing anything like this, would be up at the sort of 107 Saturday Joe Cullen. Lovely stuff kind of range.
Yeah, he started off well, didn't he, with that 118, but it took him 3 darts to hit 16 and then 4 darts to convert in the previous leg. He's missed a couple in this one. So it's 3, 4, and not even 5, but he's allowed the luxury of having as many as he wants, really.
Oh. He can have a few more if he wants, because that clattering into the flight means that Dennis can't even get to a finish. But while the finishing gets worse and worse and worse for Joe, the scoring is getting worse and worse and worse for Dennis.
He won't be looking for any cameras. They'll be hoping they're switched off in this match. He'll be looking for the big green sign that says EXIT.
I did like the very artistic slow fade from Dennis there. That was very artistic. I like it.
140.
Yeah, he's not going to provide the art. We'll do it for him here on the European Tour.
Going into a Dennis Nilsson dream sequence. Which
One
would be a
where
terrifying experience.
One where he was 4-0 down against Joe Cullen and bounced back.
Oh. Well,
if that happens and then we just fade back out and it's lost 6-0. Sorry, we will get serious now. It is going to be serious stuff.
140.
In the next match. Oh, I was praising heavily during the Vandenberg Gilding match. The Belgian crowd here have given great order. But do you think that will continue when it's MVG against a possibly pumped tiebreak?
I don't know. It did get... I went out to sort of see what it was like for Dimitri, and it was a rapturous reception, but it was really fervent for Kim Huybrechts last night.
Because it was silence for Gilding. There were a couple of boos in the match darts, but pretty much silence.
Yeah, they've been very good.
Supporting their men, but not really doing much to put off the opponent, as it should be. But it could be different because of the character of the two players on the stage in the next one.
Particularly if Kim decides to stoke them up.
And they've had some great games before as well. That's coming up. Is this Dennis dream on?
59.
Well, there's a miscalculation, is there, with the Cullen score?
Well, I think there was a miscalculation from Dennis there as well, because it looked like he was going 2 tops when he got to 90. Unless he was going to go tops bull.
I think our score was right on the graphic.
50.
The marker had written the wrong thing. But that's the right thing. Got the question wrong, but the answer right there, Dennis Nilsson.
Oh, well, maybe we have entered the Dennis Nilsson dream sequence, because if he is going to come from 4-0 down and win it, that's the way to do it. Make it 4-1, then 4-2.
Oh, 134.
Well, I'm not sure whether or not we have entered some parallel universe in this match or not. But if Nilsson's to win this leg, he may have to rely on mistakes from Joe Cullen.
Well, there have been plenty of mistakes at the end of legs.
It's the first battle between this pair. I've never towed the Oki together before.
He's just reasserting himself in this, Joe Cullen. Had a leg off on the scoring in the last one. It's the only leg that he's not had darts at double. Only leg he's lost as well.
They require 51.
Well, if it's a 57 here, then we are in that Dennis dream, Cullen nightmare, but it's order restored. Reality bites for Dennis Nilsson as Cullen takes a 5-1 lead.
Well, just doing a job at the minute, Joe Cullen, as he looks to set up a last 16 clash with either Madars Razma or Danny Noppert.
140.
I mean, Joe, with a couple of Euro tours left, he's currently 5th in the Euro Tour order of merit. It would be beyond him to be the top seed. There's too much ground. Well, no, it would be beyond him to be the top seed, but he could certainly move ahead of Peter Wright this weekend. and maybe up into the top 3. It looks like it's a straight fight between, it is a straight fight between Van Gerwen and Humphries, I think, for the top 2.
In the fight at the moment that Humphries is leaving to Van Gerwen. Of course, deciding to stay at home, and understandably so.
Yeah, waiting the birth of his first child.
Let's see if Dennis can be a menace here.
Double his leg tally, treble 17. The Swede. Oh, that's a turn up for the books. 1-2-1, bullseye finish. Oh, a little handshake. I didn't know you were allowed to do that on stage. Was that?
I thought you had to do it.
Oh, no. I'm getting mixed messages.
Yeah, if you have just tuned in, that's Peter Wright turning down the fist bump before the last leg decider against Nilsson because he was just trying to keep calm. He ended up getting calmer.
He shook his hand at the end.
140.
But the departure of Wright, the departure of Vandenberg is the reason why that section of the draw Dan was talking about earlier has opened up, along with Rodriguez's win over Heta earlier on.
Yeah, very first game of the day, that one. Heta beaten in a last leg decider. Peter Wright beaten in a last leg decider. Dimitri Vandenberg beaten in a last leg decider. They are the only 3 seeds to fall. They went down fighting.
140.
Well, it's B+ game, Joe Cullen, isn't it? And it's more than enough.
It looked like it was going to be a star game, didn't it, for a while? And then he just had a little nap.
Look what old Dennis has left. Is he going to double down on 1-2-1 checkouts?
He knows how to do it. Drop 17, the ball. Oh.
57. 124.
To wrap it up. Same kind of finish. Treble 18 and ball. Joe gets the job done. A 1-2-4 finish. Dennis Nilsson wakes up at the end of the game after a highlight for him, that 1-2-1 in the penultimate leg. But ultimately, Joe Cullen was just too good and too strong for the strong man from Sweden. A 1-1-8 to start it, a 1-2-4 to finish it, and a match against Rasmus or Noppert tomorrow in the final day of action. That is the last match of the night. Before that, Adrian Lewis takes on Boris Krčmar, but before that, and coming next, it is the match that has top billing this evening. Michael Van Gerwen taking on Kim Huybrechts, who hopes to keep Belgian hopes alive. Stay tuned for that after we've had a quick word with Cullen.